Sometimes it takes a medically induced coma to realize just how much you love each other. The Big Sick, released in 2017 and is directed by Michael Showalter, who has also directed such films like Stella Shorts, A Baxter, and Lovebirds. But I know him specifically from the 2001 amazing parody comedy Wet Hot American Summer, and the sequels that followed like a decade later on Netflix. And this film has an amazing, hilarious cast of Kumail Nanjiani, Zoe Kazan, Holly Hunter, and Ray Romano. And we are reviewing this film today because it was recommended to me from one of my subscribers, someone that I haven't actually done a recommendation for in some time, Melody G. Whenever you recommend something on this channel, I always love it. It's always a great suggestion, and I've never been happier after watching a recommendation because this movie is a frickin' delight. The Big Sick is a loose biographical film of Kumail Nanjiani's life. Kumail, whose character has the exact same name as him, is an Uber driver in Chicago, is a Pakistani-American Uber driver in Chicago, and is trying to make a living as a stand-up comedian. At one of the shows, he meets a lovely lady by the name of Emily, and they start a very cute romantic relationship with each other. However, because Kumail is unable to really open up and show that true side of himself to Emily, Emily starts pushing him away, and eventually they break up. Shortly after, though, Emily is taken to the hospital and is medically induced into a coma while the doctors fight an infection. During this time, Kumail meets Emily's parents, played by Holly Hunter and Ray Romano, and over the course of the film, their relationships build while all parties try to save Emily's life. So whenever I hear that a film is a romantic comedy, or whenever I see the label romantic comedy placed on a film, personally, I start rolling my eyes. And it's not because I hate romantic comedies, and it's not because I think that they're chick flicks and they're only for women. No, I love my good share of rom-coms. The trouble with romantic comedies, though, is that the tropes, the formulas, are so generic and played out. It's rare that a romantic comedy keeps me engaged or surprises me with the story that they're telling, because they all play out the same way. And that's what makes this film, The Big Sick, amazing, is that it takes that formula. Yes, it does have some familiar essence of these tropes and of this formula, but it takes it and it flips it on its head. With romantic comedies, the characters are always trying to be with each other and trying to impress each other and trying to tell each other that, oh, my life is nothing without you. Whereas this film, it's about finding your inner self and finding your inner peace and happiness. And if you finally do that, maybe you will become a more approachable person to where you can have a relationship with someone else. Because it's very difficult to have a relationship with someone when you aren't letting them in. And that is one of the amazing things that Kumail does in this film. This character that really he's playing a version of himself, maybe a heightened version of himself, but he hides behind comedy. He hides behind humor in every situation. Whether the situation is funny, or whether he's chilling out with his friends, or whether he's in the hospital seeing the love of his life in a coma, he will use humor, he will use comedy as a self-protective measure. And that is not necessarily a bad thing, but if you are trying to get into a relationship with someone, that barrier, those walls, that comedic shield that you put up, it does need to come down every once in a while. And I know this because I am the same person. Any situation at work, in my personal life, if it's serious, if it is funny, if it's fun, if it's scary, I will tell a joke, or I will say something that I think is funny, because that's how I cope with it. If I'm feeling some kind of way, or if I'm angry about something, I will throw some sarcastic line out there because it kind of clears the air, people chuckle, and then we move on, and I don't have to divulge my inner feelings. That's me. That is this character, Kumail. To say that I have never related more to a character on screen before is an understatement. Now, I am a white male, and Kumail is Pakistani, so I'm not saying I can relate to the cultural aspects and the cultural pressure that he was put under when he was growing up, but I also understand the whole family dynamic and being shunned from your family, or trying to impress your family and no one is understanding you, or maybe just totally swearing off your family altogether. This character is me. And what Kumail is doing here is so honest. Even though he is hiding behind these comedic lines and these jokes that he's telling in these serious situations, this character that he's playing, this part of himself, is completely honest. And I am shocked, and actually I'm angry that he was not nominated for Best Actor during this year at the Oscars, because his performance, I think, is stellar. Hell, this movie should have been nominated for Best Picture. What the hell happened with that? So I'm looking over the list of films and actors who were nominated that year at that Academy Awards. It's a pretty stacked deck in the Best Actor category, but gosh, you could take Daniel Day-Lewis out of there. Phantom Thread, yes, Daniel Day-Lewis is always great, but I mean, in the terms of his vast career, Kumail should have been in that category. And Best Picture, I mean, you could easily take out The Post. I mean, hell, even Dunkirk you can take out of there and put Big Short in, because this film deserved it. Is this film funny? Is it a comedy? Absolutely. But it's not like a slapstickish Anchorman type comedy. This is a dramedy. This is realistic comedy. And Zoe Kazan, she is absolutely delightful and lovable in this role. The way she's able to play off Kumail, there is some real attraction there, some real chemistry there. Zoe loosely playing Kumail's wife in real life. Actually, this film is written by Kumail's wife, Emily V. Gordon, which I wonder how that coma was in her life and how that brought each other together, because this is loosely based on their relationship and their lives, so gosh, I wonder what it's like to be in a coma. And the film is only elevated so much after that when Holly Hunter and Ray Romano come on the screen. It's a strange pairing, and I didn't know how I would feel about it. It's like, are these two gonna click? And they absolutely do. They felt like a married couple. When they first meet Kumail at the hospital, things are very tense and they're very separate. They don't want to sit by him, but eventually they do invite him over to the cafeteria at the hospital. And there's one line that Holly Hunter has that I burst out laughing. I think it's the funniest line of the entire movie. I don't know why, but to me it is. Kumail is asking them, so how's the sandwich that you bought? And she's in mid-bite, and she just looks at Kumail and says, it's the best fucking sandwich I've ever had. I don't know why. The sarcasm, the hatred in her face, the stonewall in her face, it's hilarious. The best line of the movie for me. That, and then Kumail arguing with the fast food guy that he just wants 4 slices of cheese on the hamburger, not 4 cheeseburgers. That was a great part, too. I think this film is just more proof that the Academy Awards don't recognize comedy. They don't respect comedy as they do with dramas or big money packer-inners. Because watching a drama, yes, it feels like it's more real life and it's dramatized and it's romanticized, but really in real life you have characters like these characters in this film. There are dramatic moments, but there are also some comedic moments, and it's a nice little blend with each other. This movie is brilliant. It is fantastic. It is one of my favorite films that I've watched this year. One of my favorite films from 2017, if I would have watched it back then. Shame on me for not doing that. After watching this, I immediately went to my wife and said, you need to watch this movie. And any movie that makes me do that, just rush out to tell everyone that this movie is great. Everyone needs to see it. It gets the highest score I can possibly give. I'm going to give The Big Sick 5 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I think I see blue. He looks glorious.
It's a movie that I could watch again and again and again. It will never get stale. This movie is wonderful. Alright everyone, now comes my favorite part of my videos where I randomly select which movie I'm going to be watching next, so let's take a look. World War Z! Talk about going from something that's so romantic and beautiful to zombies and action, despair and tragedy and apocalypse. I love this channel. Another movie that I've only seen once. This movie came out in 2013-ish, somewhere around there. I know it has a troubled production, and there were a ton of rewrites that happened with the thing. I do remember enjoying it, though. In terms of, like, who Brad Pitt is, his character, I have no idea. Some guy who's, like, the only guy who can solve the thing to cure zombies, I think. Handsome Brad Pitt plays a generic character because he can and will. Actually, this might be his own film studio, now that I'm thinking about it, so I guess that makes sense. So we'll check out World War Z next time. So guys, have you seen The Big Short? What did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before, and you stumbled across it because of this video, I am so happy that you have finally watched it. Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button, and make sure you hit that bell so you'll know the next time I release my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time with my review of World War Z. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.